It's mailbag time here on NFL Daily. I am Tom Downey, and that is Chase Senior, here to answer all of your questions around the NFL, either using hashtag NFL or throwing it in with a super chat. First up from Burnin Spades, shout out y'all. Any updates on the cap and depth for Atlanta? I'll quickly take this one here, Chase. They're in a decent enough shape when it comes to the cap situation. The Falcons have been very quiet so far in free agency. They've made some moves to add money in the meantime, but they're still right about at the cap line, so I wouldn't expect a big move unless they do something else in the near future. From Zeno, back in 2014, the Cowboys almost drafted Johnny Manziel, and I didn't want to, but what did you want, Tom? You think it was better with Romo? I didn't want to touch Manziel. Now, I mix up this draft with the Sharif Floyd one for some reason because I really wanted him, and they took Frederick that year instead. I think I really wanted Aaron Donald. He was gone, of course.
Everybody did.
Yeah, right? And then I wanted Clinton Dix, but I was good with Zach Martin. Was there someone who you had in mind for that particular draft that you loved?
Not necessarily. I do know this. Didn't like the maturity of Johnny Manziel, so I was staying off of him. And as soon as the Cleveland Browns drafted him, there was like that little bit of football fan in you that was like, maybe he can turn it around. But I also was like, that's the most Browns move of all time.
From Mixed Personality Jackson, did the Broncos recreate the no-fly zone 2.0? I guess create the no-fly zone 2.0 then. Can't recreate 2.0.
Absolutely love what George Payton has done. First-year GM, and for him to stack up the defense like he has, I think what they saw, they looked at Kansas City, they looked at the Los Angeles Chargers, and they said, we need defensive help. And we don't have a quarterback yet, but maybe if we tried out a defense that is like the no-fly zone, that can at least limit Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert, we'll be in a good spot to compete in this division. And if they get a player in the draft like Micah Parsons, I can't wait to watch that Broncos defense.
From JD, should the Raiders go offensive line or defense in round one, Chase?
I'd go defensive line. I think the biggest Achilles heel for the Raiders over the last couple of years has been the Raiders' defense. They've gotten killed in the run. They can't generate a pass rush. And what happens late in the year? They lose a bunch of games because they're tired, they don't have defensive firepower, and teams are able to light up the scoreboard on them. So I go defensive line.
Yeah, I'll throw in one offense lineman here if you just want to plug and play right tackle, Tevin Jenkins from Oklahoma State. Evan Hughes, the Jets draft Penei Sewell and give Sam Darnold one more season. All right, Darnold truther, what do you say?
Well, you have Mekhi Becton, right?
Yeah.
So Mekhi Becton, great pick last year by Joe Douglas. So I think the move that the Jets are going to do, I think they're going to draft Zach Wilson with the second overall pick, and I think they're going to try to trade Sam Darnold on draft night to get a draft pick back. That's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah, so I think you're right. I think they're taking Wilson, number 2.
Yeah.
And that's the path they go, and then we'll see what else they end up doing with what I think was a good draft last year, chance to build on that this upcoming season. All right, from Jack Doyle, Clowney to the Chiefs. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, this has been rumored for a little while, and I love how Brett Veach has taken chances on guys who maybe they've failed to reach expectations in prior years, but still have some ability. And I think if you put Jadeveon Clowney into Steve Spagnuolo's system, opposite of Frank Clark, when the focus isn't solely on him, I think Clowney coming off an embarrassing and injury-riddled year last year, I think he could go off. I don't think he's ever going to be the volume sack guy that people had predicted coming out of South Carolina, but I still think Jadeveon Clowney is a very good player.
Yeah, and I think for the Chiefs, where you have Jaron Reed and Chris Jones and Frank Clark, you throw in Clowney.
It's a hell of a defensive line.
That's one heck of a front four when you want to rotate into your sub-packages there. So this question you see on screen, it is the pinned comment on today's video. Where will Clowney sign in 2021? If you get the ad break here on YouTube, scroll on down and make your predictions. From my burner account, I want Dallas to take best player available. Taking based only on need reminds me when we took Greg Ellis over Randy Moss. I love Pitts, Sewell, or Slater. The Randy Moss thing is overblown. Like, I get it. Oh, the Cowboys linked to Randy Moss. The Cowboys picked number 8 that year, and they did take a Pro Bowl player in Greg Ellis. It's not like it was a disaster pick. It's not like it was Grant Windstrom, you know? Randy Moss went 21. Like, it's not like Moss was viewed as this is the next best guy.
Right.
He wasn't even the next best receiver, at least in terms of the way the NFL viewed him. And obviously there was the whole some of the off-field stuff that was going on for Moss,
Some concerns,
too.
yeah.
I think that's a little bit overblown. I do, in general, like going BPA, but it should be BPA at a position of need. So you can make Pitts and Sewell or Slater work, especially if Patrick Surtain is off the board at number 10. From King J, what is the percent chance, not change, that's too complicated to calculate for me, that Watson never plays again in the NFL?
Man, in my previous life, I covered a lot of news in addition to sports. And I'll tell you this, this process is going to play out for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's not going to get resolved anytime soon in terms of the legal matters or Deshaun Watson coming back to play in the NFL or a trade partner possibly making a deal. So I don't even want to put a percent chance on it, but I'd say him at least starting the season is in jeopardy because I think at the very least he's going to be put on the commissioner's exempt list.
All right, from Burnin Spades, outside of the top 5 quarterbacks, I assume you mean those 4 quarterbacks and then Mac Jones, who are the best late-round quarterbacks for Atlanta to take that could become quarterback 1 that fits Arthur Smith's scheme? Do you have any names that you like in particular here? I got a couple.
Everybody is obsessed with Kellen Mond, maybe in the 2nd round or 3rd round. He falls to that point, or a guy like Kyle Trask. I think Dan Mullen has done great work with quarterbacks. Kyle Trask, the most recent of those. So I'd look at those 2 guys. Who do you got, Tom?
I'll throw in the name Davis Mills.
Okay.
It's not one that I love necessarily. I finished my eval of him, and to just be quite honest, I don't get the hype. I thought he was a little bit overvalued to an extent. So I'm fine if you want to take someone day 3 or day 4, but I think outside of those main guys, there's not really anybody that I'm truly in love with from that perspective. Let's check in then on the Twitter follower race here. We're trying to get to 20. The first one who gets to 20 gets to go home early. The last one to get to 20, or if no one else gets to 20 here, well, they got to stick around and do some extra work. So I only need 14 more. I know you're checking your number right now, Chase, here. Yeah. I will give some recent shout-outs to those who just followed me. I see Leonardo, Juan Ramirez, Sheldon, Taybomb03, and Tito all recently hit me up. We will revisit this in between today's live show. So go hit us up on Twitter. I'm at WhatGoingDowney. He's at Chase_Senior. And there's at Sam Brown CS as well. From Alexander Garcia, which team do you think will tank next season? Lions, question mark?
Which team is going to tank? My goodness. I mean, which team is in a position to tank? You don't really see teams tank in the NFL.
I just watched 2 teams tank.
Which ones?
The Jags and Jets. Now, it was organic tanking and the Eagles at the end of the season, too.
Organic tanking, yeah. But I don't think they're going to throw a season away. I think the Lions are going to be bad again. I don't think there's any question about that. I think the Jags are going to be improved.
How about this then? Who gets the number 1 overall pick?
I think the Lions are going to be terrible.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could see the Eagles having a rough year.
Eagles could be bad.
Know, but
Eagles could be bad.
All right, so I appreciate that question, Alexander. From Alan Kelley, could the Dolphins trade down from number 6? Remember, they moved from 3 to 12 back to 6. Could they move that again, Chase?
I don't think so. I think they're staying put at 6. They already traded down. I don't think they're going to move again.
I am inclined to agree with you. Unless something weird happens at the top, I think the Dolphins move back up to 6 because there was probably 2 to 3 players that they wanted to get. If they're all there still, which I think is unlikely, maybe they could move down again. I think the more likely outcome is Miami stands pat at number 6 and just stick with what they have and take their best offensive player, be it a Kyle Pitts, Jamar Chase, or even a Penei Sewell. So speaking of draft trades, how many more do you guys think happen in round 1? We had 2 in the same day, part of a wild Friday in the NFL. So how many more NFL trades do you think end up happening only in round 1? Get your votes in for me in the comments section. From Seahawks Corner, if the Seahawks don't make the Super Bowl, a $15 super chat, mind you, should they blow the team up? I'll let you take this one first here.
Look, if you have Russell Wilson on the roster, you're going to compete for the playoffs and the Super Bowl every single year. And I know it ended ugly for Seattle last year. They went 12-4. Okay, so they got off to that hot start. There was a lull earlier on in the season, and toward the end of the year, they weren't great, but we're still talking about a 12-4 team here with Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll. So if they don't make the Super Bowl, do you blow it up? No.
Agreed.
If you go 3-13 and Russell Wilson says, I demand to be traded because I can't see myself being with this franchise anymore, then maybe.
Yeah, if Wilson demands to be out, I think that's the route in which you would blow it all up. But if you're going to have another great season, regular season-wise, keep trying to win. Like, this is your window. So I say it should not be Super Bowl or bust for Seattle this upcoming year.
Appreciate the super chat.
From Rashard Lee, is Dak better than Trevor Lawrence? Chase, take this one here.
He's not. No,
Okay.
he's nowhere near the thrower of the football. The athlete doesn't have as much potential. I do, though, like Dak's character, and I do like how he has been thrust into difficult situations, and I like how he's had to overcome a lot of adversity on the football field, but also in life with his mother passing away and his brother dying by suicide. And I don't think Trevor Lawrence has been challenged a lot in the college ranks. So if there's one concern I have about Trevor Lawrence, it's when he was down in the college football playoff back-to-back years, never came back, and didn't really have to face a lot of those situations.
I'll spin it this way here. We haven't seen Trevor Lawrence play in the NFL.
Yeah.
So it's very tough for me to say Lawrence enters day one as an instant top 10 quarterback.
Yep.
So I think like right this second, it's probably still Dak. 3 years from now, who's more likely to be a potential top 5 quarterback? There's a real argument that it's going to be Lawrence.
Yeah.
Like prospect-wise, unquestionably better than Dak Prescott. Currently, let's give Trevor a chance first.
Yeah.
That's more my mindset. Now, if you guys want to stay updated on what's going on around the NFL every single day with news, rumors, trade talk, draft, free agency, mailbags like this one, hit that big red button and subscribe. That way, you don't miss out on any of the videos we have for you guys here at Chat Sports. From Liam Carroll, who do you think will be the surprise guy that falls in the NFL draft?
Wouldn't be surprised if it's Caleb Farley because of the back, and I know you and I have talked about that. So if he falls and he's okay down the road, my goodness, a great value selection there for a guy who a lot of people believe is the number one corner.
I'll throw this in there. If one of those, if there are 4 quarterbacks in the top 8 or 5 quarterbacks, do the math. One of those playmaking receivers or offensive linemen is going to fall out of the top 12.
Yeah.
So kind of like what we saw last year with CeeDee Lamb being the surprise faller to 17, I think there could be something similar this year depending on where those quarterbacks end up going. From Adampski, 33, do you think Patrick Peterson will make it as a cornerback in Minnesota? I think he's going to stay there.
Yeah, is he going to make a comeback, like return to
comeback.
his prime?
I misread that, yeah.
I think
My bad.
Patrick Peterson is no longer an all-pro, but as like a number 2 or 3 guy, I think he could contribute under a really bright defensive head coach in Mike Zimmer, for sure.
Quick note, now that I know what the question actually is. I saw Terrence Newman go from I thought he was cooked to having like another 5-year career.
Yeah.
I could see that same case under Mike Zimmer again. From Kevin Nunez, why hasn't Seattle restructured Wilson's contract to make more cap space? So I have my theory here that Seahawks fans are not going to like. The reason why you wouldn't do this, because you can always just make more money. Seattle does not like to do that in general.
Yeah.
But if you don't restructure Wilson's contract this year, it does make him easier to trade next season.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing that out there.
Well, because if they traded him this year, the cap hit would be like $36 million,
Yeah,
somewhere in the neighborhood
of
that,
It's
right?
an extra 7 on top of what they were already paying him.
Yes,
Which
exactly.
is gross. You don't want to do that.
So, yeah, if Russell Wilson is unhappy with the situation in Seattle, you know what's going to make him even more pissed off? If you say, hey, Russ, can we restructure your deal?
Well,
I don't think he wants to do that.
I think what the question was, like, taking his base salary, making a signing bonus, to bring his cap hit down, he still gets the same amount of money. Seattle doesn't like doing that.
No.
But I would have done it to make it easier to win right now with Russ. They chose to go a different direction, and it leaves open the possibility next year, if things are bad again, of an actual trade. From Robert Bruce, hey Tom, hi Chase, and Sam. Do you think the Patriots move up from the 15th pick and go after a quarterback like a Mac Jones or Fields, whoever is left?
I think it would be fascinating if the Patriots did elect to do that.
go do it.
I don't know if Mac Jones is going to last until 15th with all of the speculation and rumors going on right now. He seems to be climbing up draft boards. I definitely don't think Justin Fields is going to slide that far either. Now, do they move up from 15? Realistically, like how far can they get up without giving up like several picks?
They don't have that many needs though right now because they spent all that money in free
and
agency.
They do have a lot of draft capital. So, hey, Robert Bruce, I'm all for it because if Belichick gets a young guy, that'll be fun.
From Big Dog 2047, do you like the Lockett extension? I certainly do, Chase.
I do too. Yeah, I think, look, a lot of people will look at that number and they're like, hey, that's a high number for guaranteed money. Tyler Lockett really for the last 3 to 5 years has been one of the most dynamic wide receivers in the league. Line him up in the slot. He can extend the field vertically as well, so I do like the contract extension.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement there. And by the way, it brought down the cap hit for this upcoming season, and that matters for a team that's fairly light on draft capital.